Exciting game. The referee is Brian Lewis, and the two linesmen John D'Amico and Bob Hodges. And starting in goal tonight for the Buffalo Sabres, Tom Barrasso. He's played in all 4 previous playoff games. He's won the last 2 for the Sabres. At the other end, Mario Goslin gets the start tonight. He has played in 3, has won 2 and lost 1, and we are almost ready for the opening face-off. And you know, only a few miles from here, the Plains of Abraham, where over 100 years ago, the British troops, undermanned and led by General Wolfe, defeated the French troops led by General Montcalm. Who will survive tonight, Bergeron or Bowman? We'll find out in 2.5 hours. Bergeron and Bowman have both won 2 battles, but the war is yet to be decided. The page from the book of Vin Scully. Play is underway here in this first period. Cleared in by Foligno. Goslin clearing it to the corner boards. Ashton gets it behind the net. Boulder around to the right side. And the pass comes over the line where it's taken by Foligno. He backhands it into the Quebec zone. Price picks it off. Now starts it back up the ice with the long pass intended for Ashton. Slides into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey going back to touch it. And Quebec is called for icing.
Well, 2 other very big games tonight, Boston and Montreal, and the Sabres will play the winner of that should they defeat Quebec here this evening. And the Islanders, like the Sabres, trying to come back from a 2-0 deficit as they play at Washington in the 5th and deciding game of that series.
You know, one thing we're going to see a lot of tonight is line juggling, as we see Michel Bergeron waiting until Scotty Bowman puts his lineup out onto the ice and then now making a late change. But the one thing that he has to contend with now is the fact that Andrechuk is hotter than a firecracker, and he's going to have to be very careful about who he plays against.
Face off in the Quebec zone, the long shot, but Benfus to save the rebound. And the Nordiques started back with Peter Stastny at center, tipped it off the boards into the Buffalo zone. Surveillez the passer. Here's Cote, the drive, and Barrasso, the pad save. Ramsey in behind the net, slaps it around the boards, cut off by Rosefort, keeping it in behind the net now. It's Cote trying to get it in front, and it's pulled into the ice and into the Quebec zone. Same scratches as last night for Buffalo. The other night, rather, Berta, Korab, Davis, Hamel, Bongrade, and Dave Maloney. Not in the lineup for Buffalo. Rosefort breaks into the Buffalo zone with the shot off the glass. Tip Rosefort the drive, and it was blocked by Ramsey. Now taken by Frankie Sauvé in behind the net, trying to work it in front. Gets it back to the point to Maxwell. He shoots, deflected. It's in front. Flash to the quarter boards by Benfus. Rochefort keeps it in. Foligno comes up with it. His pass to send away Tucker at center to the Quebec line. Takes the shot. Now it comes back over the line, and Sauvé dumps it into the Buffalo zone.
Yeah, Buffalo running around in their own zone, and it's extremely important here early in this hockey game. The tendency for players to get excited after that first shift, you're usually able to settle down, but they have to hold their positions in there early.
Blake Wesley comes to center to the Buffalo line. Off the boards, Hunter moves in against Playfair. Now Brent Peterson bumps in there as well, and they hold it. And we'll have a face-off in the Buffalo zone.
And what a playoff series he is having for the Quebec Nordiques. He's just been really single-handedly, anyways, in the first 2 games here at the Colisée. Beat the Buffalo Sabres. 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points. He's had 19 shots on goal.
And he is tied in the playoff scoring in the goals department with Kerr of Philadelphia, both 5 goals. On the draw in the Buffalo zone, Schoenfeld is bumped to the boards by Kumpel. Hunter centers it. Now here's Goulet into the corner, chased by McKenna. The loose puck, Schoenfeld comes up with it. There's going to be a penalty here. And it'll go to Brent Peterson. And when we return, the Nordiques will be on the power play. From the Coliseum in Quebec City, this is Sabres Hockey on TV2.
Goes out for holding at 2:09, and the Nordiques are on the power play.
They're 5 for 22 on the power play. Michel Goulet has 3 of his 5 goals, while his team had the net advantage.
Stastny wins the draw. Back now, the drive by Verwall. Blocked. Here's Goulet. A loose puck. It goes to Peter Stastny. The pass is Michel Goulet, goal number 6 of the series. And the Nordiques again takes the lead.
Just a beautiful pass to Michel Goulet by Peter Stastny. But once again, the Sabres losing the faceoff in their own zone. And you see Goulet penetrating the middle of the box. A perfect shot. Barrasso had no chance. They see it set up by Frankie Sauvé is so good on the power play. Billy Height just committing himself, and Goulet with the open side.
And the Nordiques take a 1-0 lead early in the first period. A power play goal by Goulet. Perreault comes back at center, gets by one, lost control. And Sauvé clears it back to the Buffalo line. Ruff goes after it, knocks it off the boards. Cote to the line. Left it there for Peter Stastny. His pass off Height. Taken by Sauvé. Knocks it off the leg of Perreault. Chases it. Now sends it in off the skate of the linesman John D'Amico. Coming up with it is Housley. Rips it through up on the right side to Perreault. Breaks into the Quebec zone. Had it knocked off his stick. Waiting for it. Height back at center. 1-0. Quebec leading first period. Cote left it for Roseford into the Buffalo zone. Housley trying to get to him. Taking him to the corner. Height is there, knocked away by Gillis. He's got Payma in front. Payma goes to the corner with Height. Height holding him along the boards. Cote moves in there. Here's Cote, the pass in front, and Sealing picks it off. Starts back to the line. The rink wide pass intercepted by Mulder. Dumps it right back to Payma. Payma knocked down at the Buffalo line. Flips it in behind the net. Barrasso leading it there. Here's a drive there that goes wide. And it comes back to center. Mulder takes it.
You see Quebec really taking it to Buffalo early here in this game, and that's something that we would expect coming back to their own building after dropping 2 in a row.
Now it's taken on the left wing boards by Paul Cyr, who missed most of that last game in Buffalo with the long drive. And Gosselin making the save. Now Cyr left it. Here's Orlando tipping it to the side of the net. A loose puck. Orlando can't get away from the corner. Mulder comes back to center. Up to the Buffalo line. Has to turn away from Mike Ramsey. Alkidis is playing up on a forward line with Orlando and Cyr. Now Benfish back in deep. Sends it up to Cyr at the blue line. Quebec making a change. Here comes Orlando to the Quebec blue line. He is stopped by Goulet. The pass. Gives it to Wesley. Up to Goulet. Back with Hunter at center. Knocked away. Here's Hunter coming up with it. Carries it back to center ice. Now flips it high into the air.
You see the difference what a big ice surface makes here at the Coliseum in Quebec. The Nordiques just reeling out of their own zone. And what Buffalo's going to have to start doing is the forwards getting in front of their forecheckers to keep them off of that Buffalo defense.
Here's Andrechuk with the pass to Fenfis. He gives it to Halkidis. He's bumped to the far board. Now we've got Halkidis and Wesley. Blake Wesley dropping his glove. And penalties coming up with the score. The Quebec Nordiques 1, the Buffalo Sabres 0.
Blake Wesley draws the only penalty here. It's for roughing at 4:39, so the Sabres will be on the power play. And Ted, they have not been very successful in that area yet.
Right, 0 for 22, and that's one area, and we keep talking about special teams. The Nordiques have been capitalizing on their chances, and Buffalo has not. And what a difference it would have made if they would have started been able to score when they had that man advantage. But we'll see what happens tonight.
Now Ramsey back in behind the Buffalo net, and the Sabres come back with a man advantage. Housley gets to center, wraps it off the boards into the Quebec zone. Here goes Ruff into the corner, now picked off, back to the point. It comes to Mike Ramsey. There's the drive, and it went off the lead and into the corner. Price goes after it, picks it up, works it to an open wing. Mike Ramsey back at his own blue line to Housley.
Now that's something, Ted, that they're going to have to do tonight. They did not do that in the first 4 games. Get it back to the point and get people standing in front of that goaltender. And what they were doing before was just trying to work it around, trying to make that perfect pass, and it wasn't working.
Off the skate of Andrechuk to the Quebec line. Price gets it back in. Housley will try with 1:11 left in the power play. Turns away from Cote. Now he starts it up on the left side. Gives it to Ruff. He slams it into the Quebec zone around the boards. Comes back to the point. Here's Andrechuk for the drive, but it goes wide. Waiting for it at the left point is Mike Ramsey. Comes up with it, fires it back in behind the net to Andrechuk. He's got Perreault in front. Here's Andrechuk. Still with it now to Perreault. Back it comes to the point to Housley. The shot! Deflected wide. Cote picking it off the boards, falls down. Taken by Andrechuk. Here's the pass to Perreault going right in and goal! He's checked to the last moment by a great sliding save by Dale Hunter. Left point, Ramsey keeping it in. Andrechuk now tries to slide it through to Ruff. Here's Ruff getting it. He scores! Lindy Ruff has tied it up at 1-1. It went off, I believe, a skate in the goal crease, and the Sabres have tied it. A power play goal.
Now watch, Lindy Ruff is going to try to get this puck across to Perreault. You see Perreault right at the side of the net, and it hits Gosselin in the skate and goes off in the far corner. Or wait a minute, no, it didn't. It hit the defenseman in front of the net. For a moment, I thought it had gone off of the skate of Gosselin. You see Perreault just going to the net, and Gosselin should have been able to get a stick on a play like that. That puck is close into the goal crease, and he was simply not ready.
I believe it went off the skate of defenseman Pat Price, and the Sabres have tied it at 1-1. Lindy Ruff getting his second playoff goal. The Sabres are back in, and Jim, what a time to start putting the power play goals in.
Well, that's right. You can throw everything out the window, what happened in the first 4 games, particularly when it boils down to this. And this is a whole season wrapped into one.
Rochefort brings it back into his own zone. Watched by Tucker. Here's Sauvé, missing it. It's at center. Taken now by Sear. Clears it off the glass, back in behind the Quebec net. Rochefort around the boards now. Height kicking at it to keep it in. Now recovered by Rochefort into the corner. Slides it back behind the Marois. Up off the boards. Stastny's pass comes right back to the Buffalo line. Cleared by Height. A bouncing puck. Peter Stastny in control. Anton Stastny, of course, not in the lineup tonight for Quebec. Intercepted by Foligno. Gives it to Tucker. Here's Tucker trying to get in on goal. The drive. And Gosselin got the right pad on it. Now the Nordiques breaking with Peter Stastny leading the rush. He ran right into Fenfis. Recovered by Height. Works it through to Craig Ramsey. It's tipped away. Picked off by Tucker. Comes into the Quebec zone. The shot. And Gosselin got the pad on that one. Now Ramsey bumping into the corner with Marois. Comes back to Sean Bell. There's his high drive. Gloved by Gosselin. He holds on. And with the score, Buffalo 1, Quebec 1. We'll return to the Coliseum after this message. Tie first period. The puck is in the Quebec zone. Orlando into the corner with Lemieux. Now tipped back for Maxwell. Here's Ramsey trying to one-handed in front. Hit the Sandoval in the back foot. It comes Blake Presley. At center. Works his way to the Buffalo line. Send it in behind the net. Now Playfair moving into the corner with Ashton McKenna. McKenna attempting to clear it. Unable to. They kick at it. 4 of them go after it. Coming up with it is McKenna. Over the line. He gave it to Orlando. Lost his stick, but he tips it on into the Quebec zone. Here's McKenna trying to move in front. Now back to the corner board. Craig Ramsey digging into the corner. Left it for McKenna. He dropped it back. Orlando with Wesley. Gets it off the boards up to the point. John Feld couldn't keep it in. Here's Lemieux. He's checked by Orlando, and Lemieux checks Orlando to the ice. Ashton to the line. It's an offside call. This reminder, we like to remind everyone, the tickets for the first 3 Sabres home games in the Adams Division Finals will go on sale tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Now, they are in the office right now taking ticket calls. You can call 716-856-7300. Use your Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. And if the Sabres don't win tonight, of course, they wipe that up. But ticket personnel standing by right now. The ticket office will be open tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Memorial Auditorium, and also available at other outlets if the Sabres win here tonight. Now Marois slaps it into the Buffalo zone. We are in a 1-1 tie. Housley off the glass, picked off by Goulet. Got Kumpel, tried to get it back, but it goes straight through to Perreault, and he breaks into the center ice area. Now Perreault coming in over the line. Hunter was bothering Housley as they came back up the ice. Roughness at Marois. Hunter was all over Housley. They were eyeing each other. Here's Sealing coming to the line. He drops it back. Now Height slaps it into the Quebec zone, and they whistle it down with 11:23 remaining.
Yeah, Ted, they've given Gilles Perreault that goal, although we know Lindy Ruff scored it. But the official scorekeeper so far has given it to Perreault on the power play from Ruff and Andrewchuk at 6:12. I'd expect that would be changed.
I would too. It certainly appeared as if it went in off the skates of Pat Price, but we'll have to wait for the official announcement on that particular play. One thing Buffalo is doing tonight, they're giving all kinds of room to Quebec in the neutral zone. In other words, their defense are well back. They're not giving up that long pass to Quebec. In other words, it's going to be very difficult for the Nordiques to get in behind them, and they're giving a lot of area out in that neutral zone.
1-1 tie. Power play goals by each team here in the first period. Boulder to Price. Gets to center. Shoots it into the Sabres zone. Barrasso blocking it now. Plays it to the corner for Andrewchuk. His pass intercepted. Gillis the shot. It was blocked. Ashton couldn't get it. Now the pass up in the left wing to Andrewchuk, and he sidestepped one, but he lost control of the puck. Ashton with it. Dumped it back to center. Cleared back into the Quebec zone. Boulder tipped it back to center ice. Gillis left it for Tavon. Steps in over the line. The drive, and Barrasso What a save there on Paymon. And with the score, Buffalo 1, Quebec 1. We'll return to the Coliseum in a moment. Face off in the Buffalo zone into the left of Tom Barrasso. 1-1 tie, 10:54 left to play here in period number 1. Nordiques with 4 shots, Buffalo with 8. Pike plays it now to Sealing. At the line, it's pass to Schoenfeld, tips it up at the left wing to the Quebec blue line. Maxwell in there against Peterson. Now the pass goes behind Cote. Takes it at center ice and flips it into the Sabres zone. Barrasso leaving it for Schoenfeld. Schoenfeld looks up the ice. There's a pass, but Peterson couldn't get it, and it slides into the Quebec zone.
You notice what Buffalo is doing now. Seldom see Quebec shoot the puck into the opposing team zone, but they have been doing that consistently so far in this game.
Now tipped to the Buffalo line, cleared in by Cote. And they whistle it down. And Marianne Stastny has returned to the lineup tonight for the Quebec Nordiques.
Kelly Height in Game 3 scored the big goal for the Buffalo Sabres in the third period. It was his second goal in NHL competition for Height, and that goes back quite a number of years. It was his second career playoff goal and his first since May 20th, 1975 in the finals versus Philadelphia.
And our congratulations to Bill Height and his wife Jean. Jean gave birth to a baby girl the other day. So now 3 sisters to the little guy, to the Height. Barrasso holding it there at the side of the net, and that will force a face-off in the Buffalo zone.
The Sabres with 8 shots on goal, Quebec with 4. The Nordiques started very fast. Jimmy Mann, he's not out there to score goals. He's what you call a disturber. To get things going and to bounce people around. And since that goal by the Sabres, it has really quieted this crowd down.
On the draw, Fence is trying to get to it. Here's Mike Ramsey moving in behind the net. Works it up through the center ice area. Orlando could not get it. Now Gosselin will play it behind the net. Brokesport on the far boards. Kept in by Halkitis. Halkitis, Sear, and Orlando up on the forward line. So Scotty Bowman is using Halkitis so far on the forward line. It's cleared back in now. Recovered by Mann. Over for Hunter. Recovered by Mike Ramsey. He starts it back at center. Stop. The pass sends away Orlando. The drive. Gosselin picks that one off as Orlando tried to go upstairs on the glove side of Gosselin.
Good quick hands by Gates Orlando. Watch how quickly he'll pull this around to the forehand. This puck may have been going wide. It looks as if he has a lot to shoot at on the short side, and he fires it back the other way. And we talked about Gosselin's glove hand in the first 2 games, and he can really get that thing out there in a hurry. And what you try and do is, now from that angle, that looked like that shot may have gone in, but what you try to do is slide that puck on the ice against him. Keep it away from that catching net.
Face off in the Quebec zone with Perreault, Ruff, and sealing the forward line on the draw. Here's Ruff into the corner with it. Now works it high into the air, back to the other corner. Cote down that left wing, over the blue line, blocked by Ruff. Playfair takes over. Now it comes back, and they'll whistle it down on the offside.
You notice that play in the Quebec zone. Perreault went out of his way to run into Pat Price. He wasn't even the guy that had the puck and made the play. And the point being is that I'm sure that Scotty wants to continually work on that defense of the Quebec Nordiques. Moeller, Price, Marois, and Lacombe play, along with Rushmore, of course, played most of the time for Quebec. And if you run into them like Perreault did on that occasion, you simply will wear them down by the time the third period comes around.
Face off over the Buffalo blue line with Andrechuk, who scored the hat trick the other night in Game 4 in at center. Now Price slaps it into the Buffalo zone. Barrasso leading it behind the net. Housley going in to pick it up. Housley working back in defense with Hike. Here's Andrechuk. He tipped it to center. Now Pavon shoots it right back in. Barrasso blocks it behind the net. It's Gillis. He runs to Housley. There's going to be a penalty here against Paul Gillis, and the Sabres will go in the power play for their second opportunity here in the first period. They're 1 for 1 in the power play. When we come back, Buffalo with the man advantage. It's a 1-1 tie.
What we'll try to do is work on Phil Housley, and you see Gillis actually going out of his way to run over top of Housley, and he's gone for interference.
Buffalo going on the power play. Housley, Ruff, Mike Ramsey, Perro, and Andrechuk. But we are tied at 1-1 as the Sabres started back with Housley over the blue line to Perro. Sends it into the Quebec zone. Gosselin at the side of the net, leaving it there. Ruff tips it to the corner. Here's Perro into the corner with it now. Works it back to Housley. Back into Perro. Perro going in, winding up. He scores! Gilbert Perro. And the Sabres have taken a 2-1 lead at only their second power play of the series.
You're going to see a good hard shot by Perro. As nobody challenges him, so he just moves in and lets it go right between the legs of Gosselin. But moments before that, the play was made. Gosselin just making a bad play in behind the net, leaving the puck in the wrong position. And I think it was Lindy Rupp who got in right on top of him and forced him to make a bad play in there. We talked about that fact, about goaltenders leaving the puck or making the right play in the corners and in behind the net, and Gosselin got caught on that one.
That's the 10th shot on goal by the Buffalo Sabres. The Nordiques have had 4 on Tom Barrasso, and the Sabres take a 2-1 lead.
Here goes Jimmy Mann now chasing Rupp right off the faceoff. That's what he's out there for.
And Scotty Bowman is trying to tell Ruff to come to the bench. Yes, he's got Ruff back to the bench. Bowman with 1 foot up on the boards and getting Ruff to come right to the bench, and that's what he did. And Jimmy Mann has gone to the penalty box. And Jim, I did not think the Nordiques would try it again, especially in this game after the opening minutes of the 4th game the other night.
No, but I think what Michel Bergeron is thinking about, watch, see if we can pick it up right here. Here they go. Now, whether Lindy Ruff said something to him, it certainly appeared as if he did to try and get Mann going. But then Ruff just backed right out of there. Mann has his gloves and stick off, and he's gone. But I think Bergeron...
Scotty Bowman is pointing to his head as if very dumb, very dumb.
Now, that wasn't a good move, but from Bergeron's standpoint, his club is down 2-1. They're being outshot 10-4. The Sabres are really skating. What he's trying to do is just trying to start something, to get something going, to light a fire under his hockey club.
And the Sabres go back on the power play. They are 2 for 2 in the power play tonight.
Perro getting credit for the goal. Housley and Ruff at 11:23, so Perro at least now has 2 goals for the night.
Cleared back into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey going in after it. 8:30 left to play in the first period. The Sabres have a 2-1 lead. They're on the power play, and here comes Perro carrying it back. Tipped by Ruff into the Quebec zone against Merwan. He bumps Ruff to the ice. And loose puck cleared. Back to the line, picked off by Perro along the blue line, trying to keep it in. He does. Here's Ruff, left it there for Andrechuk. Gillis slaps it over the line. Now Perro goes back quickly to get it. Works it over to Mike Ramsey. He fires it back into the Quebec zone. Off the boards in front. Here's Andrechuk going after to the corner. To the side of the net now, recovered by Rochefort. And it's up now and off the stick of Ashton into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey going in to get it. Housley starting back at the blue line. Buffalo on the power play for another minute. Slaps it into the Quebec zone. Here goes Sear into the corner now. Tipping it to the side of the net. Price comes up with it. Works it back into the Buffalo zone.
And a good play by Pat Price combining with Moeller. He got back in plenty of time to get that puck up the boards to Price, and he just fired it down.
Polino at center. Here's the pass. Taken by Sear. In by Moeller to the corner. Sear bumps heavily to the boards. After it, coming up with it is Polino. Back into Sear. Loose puck. Moeller gets it around. Alkitis at the right point. Has it now. Keeps it in. Here's his drive. Oh, Sear stopped by Gosselin from right in front of the net. Polino now picking at it, trying to work it back to the point. The pass over for Tucker, and he is knocked down. A loose puck. It comes back over the line, and Alkitis gathers it in with 14 seconds left in the power play. He's right now off the boards. At center, recovered by Polino. Right back to the line. The pass over for Tucker. He works it back in behind the Quebec net. Gosselin stops it. Moeller is there. 2 seconds left in the penalty. That's it. The Nordiques return to full strength.
You talk about key saves. Gosselin absolutely robs here. Coming out of the corner, it would have been 3-1.
Now Orlando backhanding it into the Quebec zone. Buffalo making a change. Rochefort. Oh, it's intercepted by Orlando. Comes right back to the line and over the line. Playfair trying to hold it to the boards. He's bumped by Sauvé. Orlando's in there, and that'll do it. They'll have a face-off now over the Quebec blue line with 6:13 to go. We'll be back in just a moment with the Sabres leading by 2-1. Quebec blue line. 2-1 Sabres lead. Playfair pumps it in around the boards. Here comes Craig Ramsey. He lost it. Peter Stastny comes up with it. Tips it. Recovered now by McKenna. He keeps it in. Ramsey along the boards with Maxwell. And that forces another whistle.
Boy, that was a good play by Craig Ramsey. And there's a perfect example of taking the body instead of playing the puck. And that's what he did on Maxwell. If you try to go for that puck like that, Maxwell may have just ended up banging it out into that neutral zone. But suddenly, because you take the body, now you have a face-off in the Quebec end.
Brent Peterson, Craig Ramsey, John McKenna, the forward line. Playfair and Schoenfeld with Peter Stastny at center. Back to Schoenfeld. There's the drive, and Gosselin the save. Ramsey gets it to the side of the net. Now McKenna in behind the net. Roseport is there. Ramsey trying to get to it. Comes up with it into the corner. Works it back to the point. Playfair winding up with the drive, and he whistled back one wide. Peter Stastny picks it on. Works it back in behind the net. Roseport comes up with it. Brent Peterson in close forechecking. Bumps him. And it's sent down the ice back into the Buffalo zone. Schoenfeld will go after it. Quebec has called for icing. The Sabres have outshot the Nordiques 12-4 here in this first period.
See, Jim Schoenfeld still being bothered by a sprained neck, I guess is what they called it, Ted. And Buffalo, without question, up to this point with 5:33 remaining, playing the best period that I can remember in years here at the Coliseum. I think that first goal by the Sabres, which was credited to Perreault, really took the wind out of the sails of the Quebec Nordiques as they had it going pretty good up to that point.
Here's Bowler into the corner. Perreault after him. Now Sealing comes up with him in front. Now to Ruff the drive. He shot it wide. They score! Gilbert Perreault. And the Sabres have taken a 3-1 lead. Officially, that's a hat trick for Perreault. Believe it's only 2.
Well, a good shot there by Lindy Ruff. Now, whether it was hard to tell whether Gosselin got a piece of that one or not, but you see Perreault coming in and just banking that puck in. Here it goes again. Watch this. I think it hits him right in the helmet and then just goes up underneath the crossbar. As Quebec, you see 4 players way out of position and nobody there to take care of.
And the Sabres have taken a 3-1 lead with 5:20 to go in the first period. Now taken by Kumpel, works his way by Ruff, backhands it into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey around the boards. It comes back to Bowler. There's the shot, a weak one, handled easily by Ruff. Over the blue line, it slaps it back to center. Boulder puts it to the Buffalo line. Sealing now turns away from 2 Nordiques, trying to get it over. It went off the skates to the Quebec blue line. Price has it. Buffalo has a 3-1 lead. Up now for Kumpel. Now Sealing gets it off the board. Boulder at center, right back to the Buffalo line. Steps in on the left wing. Still with it, gets it in front of the net. Ventus is there to send away Andrechuk. 3 Nordiques are back. Buffalo making a change. Andrechuk stopped to the line by Kumpel. Kumpel then lost it. Here's Polito trying to get in on goal. Polito slashes at it. And a broken stick on the play. Kumpel broke his stick, tried to kick it along in behind the net. And it's held there by Dale Hunter. Right now, let's go to Ed.
Yes, coming up in the first intermission, I'll be talking live with Dave Maloney. We'll have a new Center 2 capsule with Susan Banks, and Jim and I will have highlights of this first period, which so far have been all Buffalo Sabres.
Boy, have they ever. 13 shots on goal for the Sabres, 4 for the Nordiques. It has been all Buffalo. Outside of the first 3 minutes of this game, Ted, Quebec has not even had a dangerous scoring chance.
Face off into the left of Gosselin. Tucker, Polino, and Andrechuk. Housley and Height back in defense. Alain Lemieux in at center now for the Nordiques. With Ashton and Payma on the wing.
This is the first time in the series that the Sabres have had a lead in the first period. Usually their leads have been coming late in the third.
That's the first time they've scored more than 1 goal in the first period.
Of course, that's what their game plan was, to get ahead of this club. And you can see the Nordiques, they forced them into playing a totally different type of a game.
Tucker wins the draw. Housley shot deflects into the corner. And Polino slaps it to the other corner. Payma back after it. Works it behind the net. Here's Polino going into the corner now. Hit by Roseport. Tucker gets the rolling puck to Andrechuk. He tried to move it in front. Here's Tucker getting it to Andrechuk. Back now to Tucker. Tucker to Andrechuk. The drive. And he hit the goal post at the base of the net. Right at the bottom of the post. And Payma trying to work it up in the right wing. Lemieux at center. Now shoots it into the Buffalo zone. Barrasso laying it off the glass. Payma comes up with it. A loose puck. They got it. Lemieux missed the pass in front. and Foligno clears it right down the ice. It'll go right by the net. And no icing call went through the goal crease, as a matter of fact. Now Wesley carries it back to center. Lemieux trying to break. Baker didn't see him. He got over Barrasso. What a glove save by Tom Barrasso as he had that glove side all picked out.
You see Lemieux right here pulling it to the forehand. As you mentioned, Ted, Larry Playfair thought that Jimmy Schoenfeld was over there, but he had been standing up in that center ice area. And that gave Lemieux a fine opportunity, but we talked about Gosselin's glove hand. Well, Barrasso has a good one also.
Face off in the Buffalo zone. Here's Maxwell shooting. Into an off Schoenfeld. Frankie Sauvé in behind the net. Schoenfeld chasing him now. Schoenfeld pushing him off the puck. The fans want a penalty. Mike Ramsey into the corner. Here's Cote. It comes back now. They try to clear it. It's picked off by McKenna. Breaks quickly to center. Break Ramsey on his left. Now Ramsey chases it into the corner. Sends it into the corner board. Maxwell's there. Four of them. Cote. Break Ramsey comes up with it. Kicking at it now. He is Jackson Peter Stastny. Back at center now from Quebec. Slides it through to Frankie Sauvé going in, looking for some help over now to Wesley. He scores! Blake Wesley! And the Nordiques get back into the game as Wesley scores to make it 3-2.
Well, a good play by Frankie Sauvé to hold on to that puck and feed it across to Wesley. And he beats Barrasso in the far side. And from Buffalo's standpoint, this is what they did not want to happen. Having this period in total control, and suddenly the Quebec Nordiques, an explosive hockey club, are right back in it. A good shot between the legs of Tom Barrasso by Blake Wesley. And he's normally a defenseman playing up on the wing.
He gets his first point. First goal of the series coming into the game for the loss of Anton Stastny the other night. 2 minutes, 52 seconds left to play in the first period. Buffalo holding on to a 3-2 lead. Now Hunter against Perreault, Paybaugh and Ruff lining up beside each other. The referee, Brian Lewis, talking to them before he dropped the puck. Now the pass to Perreault back into his own zone. Works it up on the left wing boards. Here's Sealing now, slapping it into the Quebec zone. Took a check from Mulder. Price works it up now the right side to Paybaugh. Sends it back in for Price, in behind the Quebec net. Looks up the ice, gives it to Mulder. Here he comes to the Quebec line. Up on the right wing to Hunter. Sends it into the Buffalo zone. Blocked by Barrasso. Plays it around the glass. Loose puck. Perreault's there. Paybaugh kicks at it. Here now is Goulet at the side. Tried to work it in front. Tipped away and stealing. Comes back. Gets it to Perreault. Up at center. Into the Quebec zone. Tries to get around Price. Unable to. Buffalo makes a player change. 2 minutes and 5 seconds left to play in the first period. Now the pass deflects on into the Buffalo zone. Barrasso leaving it for Mike Ramsey. Now the Nordiques make a change. Here comes Ramsey leading the rush. Up to center. Shoots it into the Quebec zone. Andrechuk waiting for it. Ashton against him. Tipped away by Gillis. The pass to Kumpel. One man back. Here they come. In over the line. Kumpel left it for Mir. Wow, the drive. And it's off the arm of Barrasso. Kept in. Gillis trying to keep it in. Here's Gillis trying to work in the front. He does. Kumpel with a shot. Blocked by Fenquist. Now Foligno into the corner. Starts it back with 1:28 left in the period. Takes it to the line. Gives it to Andrechuk to drive. And Gosselin makes the save and leaves it. Now the Nordiques will try. Here they come, led by Gillis to the Buffalo line. He shoots. Barrasso to save the rebound. Another drive, and the clock couldn't get through. It goes to the corner, tipped away by Fenquist. Looks up the ice. He's got Orlando. The pass to Orlando. Up in over the line. Here's Orlando. Sear breaks, and the pass to Sear, but he missed it. Now the Nordiques, Gillis tips it to center with 1 minute to go here in the period. Comes back into the Quebec zone. Orlando against Price. It's kept in. McKenna couldn't get to it, and it's tipped back to center ice. With 50 seconds left in the period, two Sabres collided. Here goes Cote. Tipped wide by Sauvé. Now Sauvé, he scores! Frankie Sauvé! And the Nordiques have tied it up with 3-3.
Now Buffalo was very fortunate there. They got all mixed up at the bench. They should have been penalized for 6 men on the ice. And what happened was their defense unable to get back in time and react to this play. You see Barrasso trying to stick check Frankie Sauvé. As soon as he does that, Sauvé just slides it into the corner. Good puck control by Frankie Sauvé, and the Nordiques have tied it with 42 seconds remaining. What a period of hockey.
Frankie Sauvé gets his second playoff goal. The Nordiques have tied it at 3-3.
We talk about momentum swinging back and forth. That first goal ignited the Buffalo Sabres, and Quebec's second goal has ignited the Nordiques for the past 4 or 5 minutes.
Now Perreault against Peter Stastny. On the draw, Perreault tips it back. It's recovered by Housley. Inside the line, feeds it through. Perreault missed it, slides into the Quebec zone. And it's played by Gosselin behind the net. Here now, it's Ruff. Ruff trying to work it in front. And with 27 seconds to go, Peter Stastny rushes back to center. Up to the Buffalo line, gives it to Goulet. The shot that goes wide. 20 seconds left in the period. Maxwell shoots it into the side of the net. Now with 15 seconds to go, Peter Stastny, but Perreault picks it off. Only 11 seconds. Up it comes, too far for Ruff. And back into the Quebec zone. 6 seconds. Maxwell in control. That'll do it. The end of the first period here at the Coliseum. But the Sabres, after taking a 3-1 lead, the Nordiques coming back to tie this to 3-3 after 20 minutes of play. Shots on goal, Buffalo 14, Quebec 8. So the score after one period of play, the Buffalo Sabres 3 and the Quebec Nordiques 3.
A wide open period, and I'm sure Bergeron doesn't want his club to play that way, and I'm sure, and I know Scotty Bowman doesn't. And I think that was their main job, just to try and settle everyone down.
And the second period is underway. There's no score in Montreal after one period of play. Payma into the Buffalo zone. Works it behind the net. Barrasso leaving it for John Tucker. Tucker now gives it to Andrechuk. The pass to send away Housley. Tips it through left for Housley to the Quebec line with a long drive. And Gosselin the save. Fights the rebound. Slaps it off the boards. Housley couldn't knock it down. Comes back under the Buffalo blue line. Height gets it off the boards. Polino took a whack at it, missed it, now comes up with it, works it back to the Quebec zone, sends it in, places there, off the boards, back to center, as Buffalo making a player change, slides into the Buffalo zone, and Mike Ramsey back after it, gives it to Polino, whacked by Gillis, left it in the corner, Height, Payma, bumps him into the board. Now Perreault starts back, at center, goes straight back to the Quebec line on that right side. Stopping, waiting for some help. The pass over to Mike Ramsey. There's his drive. A weak one. Gosselin knocks back to the corner. Ruff into bump against Marois. Off the corner glass. Back to the point. Fences waiting for it. Tries to keep it in. Unable to. It's picked off. Here he comes. Peter Stastny against Mike Ramsey. A great move, but Ramsey knocked it off his stick. A loose puck. Barrasso played it away from Cote. Looks up the ice. It's a long pass for Perreault. The fans were calling for a penalty as Peter Stastny was tripped up inside the Buffalo blue line.
You know, Ted, I have to believe that Peter Stastny is having problems with his wrist. And I also, if we look at Michel Bergeron, heard that he is having problems with his shoulder. And you look at his statistics, all assists. He has only 4 shots on goal going into tonight's game, and he had a chance to shoot the puck there, but tried to work around the outside of Mike Ramsey. And I'm sure that his wrist and his shoulder and everything else is bothering him.
Now the face-off back into the left of Barrasso. Perreault leaving it for Ruff. Ruff gets it behind the net. Mike Ramsey leads it now for Fences. We are in a 3-3 tie. Perreault, the pass, blocked at the Buffalo blue line. Recovered by Peter Stastny. Comes right back into it. So falls down, but gets it over to Rochefort. Ahead to Cote. Dropped it back into Rochefort. He lost it. Now Perreault into forecheck to the far side. Goes to Marois. Around the boards, up to the line. Cleared to center. Here it comes into the Buffalo zone. Peter Stastny with Sauvé, the drive. And Fences stepped in front of that shot. Now Ruff gets it to Mike Ramsey. Sauvé goes down. Here comes Maxwell at center. Flipped it in. Now Barrasso leaving it for Mike Ramsey. Quebec making a change. The pass over for Fences. There's his pass. Coming to the line where Sealing takes it. Now turns to get away, comes to center ice, up to the Quebec line, gets in over the line, trying to break in on goal. Sealing spun around, still with an now knocked down from behind. Sealing into the corner. Sear going in with Wesley. Wesley bumps into Sear. Now Maxwell takes over with the long pass, missed by Dale Hunter, slides into the Buffalo zone.
You see Buffalo trying to play aggressive in the Quebec zone. And that's what they have to do. Just keep getting on top of that defense.
Orlando's pass too far for Sear. Maxwell with it. It's cleared to the line. Goulet takes over. He is stopped by Orlando, recovered by Sear, steps in over the line, he shoots, but it's blocked with a good defensive move by Maxwell. Now Goulet into the corner. He starts to rush, back for Quebec, up at center, to the Buffalo line against Schoenfeld. Barrasso waiting for it, plays it off the glass. Sear knocks it down, Kumpel's there, here's Hunter with Goulet in front of the net, the pass back to Mulder. There's the shot, blocked by Schoenfeld and cleared by Alcides back into the Quebec zone, and Buffalo will be called for icing. 3-3 tie here in the second period.
And a key defensive play in front of the net that time by Jim Schoenfeld, who blocked that shot from the right point. I look at part of the sold-out house here at the Colisée, and big Tom Barrasso handling 8 shots in that opening period. What a series he's played for Buffalo.
Face off into the left of the Buffalo net with Gillis against Tucker. And Richuk, Tucker, and Foligno. Foligno into the corner. Now the pass comes back to the Quebec blue line, where it's recovered by Marois. Gives it to Roseport. Tries to get away from Andrechuk. Up off the boards to the line. Gillis has control. Now to Marois. He lost it. Taken by Tucker. At center, the pass to Andrechuk. Steps in over the line. Then lost it. Marois recovers for the Nordiques. The 3-3 tie with 16:15 remaining in the second period. And the Nordiques coming back on the attack with the long pass. Broken up by Housley. Gets in over the line. He's hit by 2 Nordiques. Now at center. Andrechuk recovers it. Works it back in deep into his own zone to Height. Height lifted behind the net. Now gives it to Housley. There's the pass up to Foligno. The rink-wide pass to a rushing Andrechuk into the Quebec zone. He still has control. Left it there for Foligno. Stopped away by Paymont. And back into the Buffalo zone. Racing after it, Ashton with Memphis. And Ashton takes Memphis into the boards. Tipped in behind the net, and Foligno recovers it. Sabres coming back, led by Foligno. Gets by 1, then he lost it. Right back with it is Peter Stastny into the Buffalo zone. Slapped away now Foligno again. At center to the Quebec line with the long shot. That will give time for Buffalo to make a change. As Memphis plays it back into the Nordiques. Maxwell with the pass right back into Sabres territory. Sauvé watching Ramsey. Up off the board, sends it to center. Maxwell cleared it back in. Sauvé was coming back over the blue line. Now Memphis, he bumped in behind the net, but Ramsey is there to pick it off. Now to Ruff. The pass hits the skates of Peter Stastny. Ruff gets it again. Takes it into the Quebec zone. The pass over to Perreault. Perreault looking for the pass. Over goes to Sealy. Couldn't control it. Got it up and he scored! Rick Sealy fired it off. A Nordique stick in the goal crease. And Sealy has put Buffalo back into the lead. It's 4-3.
Sealing just takes himself out of position. Now watch Peter Stastny in front of the net. And there it bounces in off his right leg as Sealing from an impossible angle. And a lot of times, a player like this will spot somebody standing in front of the net and purposely just fire the puck in his direction and hope that it will indeed hit his leg and go in, or his stick or something else. I don't think Sealing did it this time. You see Peter Stastny in the goal crease. It looked as if Quebec had that play well covered. And Buffalo has received a couple of breaks tonight. One puck went off twice in the first period, and now Peter Stastny here in the second.
And Sealing gets his 4th goal of the playoffs in 5 games. Schoenfeld trying to clear it. Has it on the boards. A good move to get by Kumpel. Now it's tipped to center. McKenna ahead to Peterson. Missed the pass. Loose puck inside the line. Recovered by Ramsey. Gives it to Brent Peterson. Back to Ramsey. Off the skate in front. And Price takes control. Pass up on the right side. Comes back to the line. Here's McKenna with it. He's trying to get. He's got Peterson in front of the net. The drive. It didn't get through. McKenna behind the net. And he is bumped. They slacked it off the board. Back over the blue line, tipped to center. Rusting with it is Trumper. He's got Hunter with him. There's the pass over to Hunter, but Ramsey got back beautifully. Here's Mulder with the screen shot. Hit Craig Ramsey. Schoenfeld trying to clear it. Hunter into the corner. He's got Goulet all alone in front. And Schoenfeld with a great move on Hunter knocked him into the boards. Hunter gets up, gets it back to the line, and all the way back into the Nordiques zone.
Oh, you talk about working hard in the corners. Jimmy Schoenfeld, and give a lot of credit to Kumpel and Hunter also in there, and that's what this game is all about, those battles in the corners.
And Schoenfeld has gone to the bench. Here's a drive, a pass, skate save by Barrasso, but there's going to be a penalty to the Buffalo Sabres. But a skate save by Barrasso. When we come back, the Nordiques will be on the power play. The Sabres 4, the Nordiques 3.
Boxes, he takes Goulet down to the ice in Quebec. The chance to tie this game. 13:44 remaining here in the second period.
So the Nordiques on the power play. And on the draw, it comes all the way back into Nordiques territory. Gosselin flipping it behind the net. Sears into Voracek. Sears, Paymon. Now Berwall. Nordiques now coming back with that man advantage. He'll try to tie the game here in the second period. Cleared into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey going in deep behind the net. Tried to slap it, came off the leg, and firing it wide was Ashton. Had a great opportunity. Fired it wide. Now it comes back to the blue line. Here's Hunter working it over. Paymon missed it. Now into the corner. Paymon gets it back to Marois. There's his slap shot, went off the leg. Here it goes to Sauvé. The shot blocked by Perreault. He knocked it over the line. Perreault appears to be hurt his leg. Gets up slowly. Now the Nordiques shoot it right back into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey in along the boards, and he chops it back into the Quebec zone.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. You hate to keep repeating yourself, but Barrasso not leaving the puck in the proper spot for Mike Ramsey in behind the net, and that's how that whole thing started.
55 seconds left in the power play. Here they come. Kumpel breaks it on goal. Right in. The drive, the save. Goulet, and Barrasso makes another save on Goulet. Sauvé all tangled up now with Benford.
Wow, you talk about speed. I mean, my goodness, Kumpel was going 100 miles an hour down the wing. As you see, Barrasso with one stop, and that rebound kick right out in front, right onto the stick of Goulet. And here's another backhand save by Tom Barrasso, and then falling on it. Kumpel with just great speed around the outside. Brent Peterson trying to check him from behind. And Barrasso coming up big in there. Boy.
Well, the Sabres have had 16 shots overall, and the Nordiques with a total of 11.
.45 seconds remaining in that Buffalo penalty to Height. And you're going to see Brent Peterson take this one against Hunter. And again, Michel Bergeron playing Peter Stastny and Goulet for the most part in this hockey game.
On the draw, Schoenfeld gets it off the glass. Ramsey tied up with Sauvé. Schoenfeld in there digging with it now. Here goes Goulet into the corner. Sends it around to the right point. Maxwell into Hunter. Knocked off his stick and back now to the Quebec blue line. Hunter goes back after it, gives it to Sauvé, and they come back quickly again. Sauvé rushing to the Buffalo line. His pass comes over to Goulet, left it for Hunter, banged on it. Schoenfeld clears it.
And a good play by Jimmy Schoenfeld, and Buffalo's trying to stand up at that blue line and challenge the Nordiques.
9 seconds left. Oh, Goulet got it right, Clayton, and goal! Shot it wide! Goulet shot it wide, and Barrasso holds on. And Michel Goulet, a 55-goal scorer in the regular season with a chance there to tie it up, but he was unsuccessful.
And Mike Ramsey got caught standing still at the blue line. You see where Barrasso, right at the top of that crease. And boy, Goulet with not a whole lot to shoot at. See if we can pick it up from this angle. Look at this. Barrasso with just an outstanding job of covering up. And so many times you say, well, the player made a bad play because he shot it wide. But in so many cases, that goaltender forces the shooter because he takes that net away from him. I really felt the only place he could go that time was on the short side.
And the Sabres are back to full strength. They've held off the Nordiques during that penalty to defenseman Bill Height. The faceoff will be into the left of the Buffalo net. Right now, linesman Bob Hodges taking some ice from the side of the net. Apparently, he's going to repair a hole in the ice back to the Buffalo blue line. 11:44 remaining here in the second period.
You know, the one thing the coaches said don't have to do for a game like this is get their hockey clubs up mentally, because if you're not ready to play in a deciding game in the Stanley Cup Finals, you shouldn't be in this business. You look at that day of rest, and you're looking for the edge. I think you have to give it to Quebec. They were a better team when they left Memorial Auditorium. Sabres, as far as we know, in good shape as far as injuries are concerned, but that extra day, I think, really helps Quebec.
On the draw, Bowler misses it, and it comes back into the Quebec zone. He'll go back after it. Sabres back at full strength. Here's Foligno trying to knock him off the puck. Ashton has it. It comes down to Foligno. He knocked it in off the stick of Andrich up to the corner. Price has it. Up on the left side, but Foligno keeps it in now for Buffalo. There goes Tucker, racing to the corner. Bowler after him. Sends it behind the net. Price trying to clear it now. Back to Hike with the long shot. Right on. And Gosselin makes the save. Mulder gets it around the boards. It comes over the line to center.
A good play by Andrich. That's what you want when your defense pinches in. You want that forward
Tucker.
back there.
And that is deflected over the glass and into the crowd. And with the score, Buffalo 4, Quebec 3 will return to the Coliseum in a moment. 11 minutes and 7 seconds left in the second period. 4-3 Buffalo in the lead. And the Nordiques try to come back, but now Sear takes it and comes back to center. He drops it back into Mike Ramsey. Over for Fenves. Steps over the line. The pass off the boards into the Quebec zone. It is taken by Rochefort. Now feeds it to Maxwell, to Merwall rather. Over the line. Knocked out into the Buffalo zone. Mike Ramsey and after it. Peter Stastny into forecheck. Gets away from him. The pass to Sear. Left it for Seeling's got Perreault with him. Now Perreault comes in over the line. Stopping. Waiting for some help. Left it for Sear. Now Sauvé along the boards. Here's Mike Ramsey in to keep it in for Buffalo, and they whistle it down.
Merwall made a smart play there. That stick was laying up that neutral ice area inside his blue line, and he just took it and fired it over to the wing. And that sort of made Perreault hesitate a little bit and enabled the Quebec Nordiques to react to that play. When you're out there, any edge you can get, anything that's going to give you a little bit extra, you must take advantage of it.
Another two games in the playoffs tonight. Nothing to report on those. Islanders of Washington, Boston, Montreal. Both games still scoreless. And here you see it's 10:25 left to play in the second period of this one. Scotty Bowman now talking to Sean McKenna and Gates Orlando at the Buffalo bench before they move over to the face-off area. Orlando, McKenna, and Craig Ramsey.
What a hockey game up to this point. 10:25 remaining.
On the draw, it comes back. Craig Ramsey keeping it in for Buffalo. Orlando and Price are all tied up. Now it's slapped around to the far side. Schoenfeld keeps it in for Buffalo. Tips it in off the boards. McKenna bumped by Maxwell. Peter Stastny's there. Craig Ramsey. Frankie Sauvé has it at the blue line. Tries to get away. Check from behind. Sauvé then lost it to Craig Ramsey. Gives it to McKenna. Steps to the Quebec line with the long drive. And Gosselin gloves that one easily. Now Price with McKenna chasing him. It's Playfair unable to keep it into the line. Peter Stastny in over the line looking for a free. Teammate still has it. Gets it into the corner. Goulet misses it. Ramsey knocks Sauvé down in front of the net. Comes to center.
Now, Brian Lewis saw that too, but I think J.F. Sauvé really helped that one along a little bit.
Goulet right back at center to the Buffalo line. Shoots it in wide. Barrasso playing it off the boards. Back now to Peter Stastny into the corner. Here's Hunter. The pass, and there's going to be a penalty here coming to Buffalo. As Goulet was tripped up, Foligno will go to the penalty box. The Nordiques will be on the power play when we return with the score. Buffalo 4, Quebec 3.
Well, 2 minutes for a cut through by Foligno or holding at 10:39.
Quebec on the power play, of course. They have scored one goal tonight. You see Foligno at the bottom of your screen right here. A hold of Michel Goulet.
Sabres killed off the last one. What can they do this time with a face-off of the Buffalo zone? Lemieux and Perreault on the draw. Kick back. Merwall with the drive. Barrasso the save. The rebound coming to the boards for Sealing. slapped it back into the Quebec zone to Gosselin. Leaving it now for Maxwell. Perreault into forecheck. He turns back up the ice as the Nordiques set it up with the extra man. Lemieux almost lost it. Left it there for Paybaugh. He tipped it in to the corner board. Sealing goes in after it with Mike Ramsey. Up off the glass. Kept in now by the Nordiques. Here's Paybaugh along the boards with Ramsey. Perreault comes up with it. Skates over the blue line. Gets to center. Makes his way to the Quebec line. Still stick handling with it. Doing a fine job. Dropped it back to height. Now he sends it in. And the Nordiques go back to set it up with 1:19 left in their power play. Quebec making a player change on this power play. Now Maxwell on the right side. It's stopped there by Ramsey. Recovered by Hunter. Merwald, rather, comes back to Maxwell. Now the pass. Taken by Frankie Sauvé. He's got 3 points tonight. Sauvé, 2 assists and 1 goal. Back it comes to Price. Price trying to work to get the shot. There's the drive. It's blocked. Another shot. A save by Barrasso on Price's own rebound. Price gets it to the far side. Stastny comes up with it. 47 seconds left in the power play. Knocked back to the point to Maxwell. He taps it into the corner. Mike Ramsey gives it to Brent Peterson. Gets it off the leg of the linesman just over the Buffalo blue line. Comes back in with 37 seconds left in the power play. Barrasso with a big save a moment ago on Price. They tip it back into the Buffalo zone. Height goes in after it. He clears it around the glass. Cut off by Peter Stastny. He gets it back to the point, and Boulder misses it.
You see Quebec, when they're on the power play, move that puck so quickly in that Buffalo zone, and you have a player going to the puck, and suddenly it's moved back the other way, and that's difficult to react.
Fenfis clears it, and Polino will step on the ice in 7 seconds. Sauvé comes to the line, works it over to Goulet and up to the corner. Sauvé moves into the corner, gets it to the other corner now. Polino's on the ice, tipped away by Sealing. Taken now, loose puck comes back. Here's goes forward and goal to try to save. Another save by Polino and Tom Barrasso. Unbelievable on this power play to hold off the Nordiques. And the Sabres are called for icing, and the score, Buffalo 4, Quebec 3. Off in the Buffalo zone, Price clearing it to the corner. Hunter taken to the boards by Orlando. Now recovered by Halkitis. Tips it to the line. Not back in. It's an offside call.
And Halkitis once again playing up on that forward line. Big, strong kid. And Scotty wants him in those corners to be big and tough in there. Look at Mark Pumpo. We talked about his speed. A lot of people say he's the fastest skater on this hockey club, and I believe that after that one rush.
Albert Waugh shooting it into the Sabres zone. Housley at the side of the net. Gets it away from trouble. Halkitis over the line. Orlando starting now the pass now to Sear at the Quebec blue line. He fired it through. It's deflected into the outside call at the Quebec line. 6:35 remaining here in the second period with the score. Buffalo 4, Quebec 3. Face off over the Quebec blue line. Orlando, Sear, and Halkitis. The rookie Halkitis playing up in the right wing. Now the pass to Orlando sends it into the Quebec zone. Gosselin leading it for Maxwell. Starts back with the pass. Blocked by Tucker. Tucker, Andrechuk, and Polino now on. Here's Polino carrying it into the Quebec zone to the corner. Trying to get around Wolfsport. Brings it to the side. He's checked. He's held there. He's in the goal. He's right in the net, as a matter of fact. And then the referee, Brian Lewis, whistling the play down. 4-3 Buffalo leading. Will return to the Coliseum in a moment following this message. A look at the Buffalo bench with Scotty Bowman and Joe Crozier facing in behind. Face off in the Quebec zone into the left with Tucker at center. On the draw, bouncing puck into the circle. Polino tries to get to it. Here's Gillis. He just sits right down on top of it. They'll do it again into the left of Mario Gosselin.
Yeah, Ted, you talk about players going into a game like this. I think you go back to the days when you were a youngster. You dreamed of playing in the NHL and playing in the Stanley Cup, and to go have the opportunity to play in a game. We'll get to that a little later.
On the draw, Tucker trying to work it back to Housley. Tied up, gets it to Andrechuk. There's a quick drive, and a skate save, Gosselin. Now Height, right along the board. Here comes Andrechuk to keep it in for Buffalo. Now tipped into the penalty box area in the far side. Jim, you were saying?
To have the opportunity to play in a game that will decide a series, and I think Brian Lewis has been injured as he's heading towards that Quebec bench. bent over a little bit, and obviously he's going to receive some assistance. But I think in the dressing room for both clubs, and not just for the Buffalo Sabres, but for the Quebec Nordiques, if you're a player, you look at Brian Lewis cut around the eye. You just have to make up your mind before you step onto the ice that you're going to play the best game that you've ever played in the NHL, and it's the only way you can approach a game like this. And let the chips fall as they may, just give 100%, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
Ted, how about a trivia question? Dave Andreychuk became the third Sabre to score a hat trick in a playoff game. Gilles Perreault was the other one. Who was the other guy?
The other gentleman, I think, is sitting beside me, and it's not you.
You're right about that. Nope, it's Jimmy Loritz.
I remember that. Boy, that's something you never forget against the Minnesota North Stars. But Andreychuk is the only player to score a hat trick on home ice at the Auditorium. Perreault scored his on the road also.
Well, Brian Lewis now still getting repaired there at the Quebec bench area.
Some of that stuff that Ray Mancini uses.
Maybe Hagler could have used it. Well, no, he really didn't bother him at all last night, did it? See if we can pick up what happened here. See Brian Lewis, just getting hit with a high stick. It doesn't appear to be serious, and I'm sure Brian Lewis will be back momentarily.
They're probably trying to do as much as they can now, and then perhaps give them a few stitches at the end of this second period. With 5:50 remaining here in the second period.
I think Brian Lewis has really let the teams play tonight, too. He's, on a couple of occasions, could have called some penalties on both sides, and he's just letting the two teams play.
But the Sabres had a 3-1 lead in that first period at one point, and then the Nordiques came back to tie it up before the end of the first period.
You look back to the past two games, Ted. This is about the time right now where Quebec started to fade in the Auditorium in Buffalo, and you'll have to think that they're basically an 8 or 9 man hockey club. Bergeron really specifically plays 8 or 9 people, and it has to catch up to you late in the game.
And the Sabres scored 5 times in the third period in both games in Buffalo. Gilbert Perreault with a pair of goals tonight. Ruffin sealing the other two. It's 4-3 Buffalo here in the second period. Now Housley missed it at center. Slides right through to Barrasso. Tries to clear it to the far board. Sauvé clearing it to the corner. Housley will go after it. Has it. Tipped it up for Foligno. Lost his stick. Kicks at it. Can't get it out. Now Housley going back. Loose puck at the side. Back into the corner. Foligno still without his stick. Trying to get to it in the circle. Picked it up. Now Sauvé has it. He has checked. Foligno into the corner. And he is tripped up. Here's Price with it now. Getting it back in behind the net. Now Andreychuk on the far board. Bumped by Cote. Tucker can't clear it. Here's Fuller with a shot blocked by Tucker. Just gets it over the line. Tucker left it there for Foligno. Rushes to the Quebec line. Goes down. Gets up. Gives it to Andreychuk. Here's Andreychuk on the far board. It's kicked away and the Nordiques started back up the ice. They could have a 3-on-2, but Cote goes to the bench. Now Sauvé left it there for Goulet, who just stepped down to the ice. Goulet slaps it into the corner. It's recovered by Playfair. Playfair getting it off the boards. Right back to the Quebec line. Wolfsport swings it over now. The Berrois giving it to Sauvé. Playfair can't get it out. It's kept in. Goes wide of the net. And Schoenfeld in behind the net. Sabres lead at 4-3 with 4:30 left to play in the second period. Comes back to center. Slapped off the boards. Recovered by Andreychuk at center ice. To the Quebec line. Trying to get around. Sends it in. Dale Hunter takes it, and Andreychuk goes to the bench. The Sabres make a change. Sears steps on, and the Nordiques fire it wide. Playfair in the touch, and Quebec called for icing. Right now, let's go back to Buffalo for an NHL playoff update with West Goforth, brought to you by Hit Music 104 WNYN.
While scoring is the story at Quebec tonight, it's goaltending and defense in the other Adams Division semifinal. Doug Keen's coming up big on Mats Naslund here. Montreal scoreless with Boston in the second period. In the Patrick Division at the Cap Center, Billy Smith will stop a goal, possible goal here. Anders Keller has just scored to put the Islanders up 1-0. Back to Quebec after this.
18 seconds remaining in the second period. 4-3, Buffalo leading. Face-off into the right of Mario Gatlin. Orlando in its center with Craig Ramsey and Sean McKenna on the wings. Orlando wins the draw. The shot by Fentis was blocked. They try to get after it. It's kicked over the line by Gillis. Fired into the Buffalo zone, and Barrasso now plays it around the boards. Waiting for it is McKenna. McKenna's pass to Orlando. It's tipped away. Loose puck at center. Orlando checked by Ashton. Recovered by Ramsey. Shoots it in. There goes McKenna. In deep against Gosselin. Gosselin scoops it to the corner. Slapped around by Verwalk. Craig Ramsey's there. Now Payma. Orlando checks it off. Gets it back to Fingers along the line. Cleared it in front now. Here's McKenna with a shot that goes wide. Orlando into the corner. Back along the board. Sends it back in behind the net. Gosselin trying to leave it there. And it's shot over the glass and into the crowd. And now, here's Ed.
Just Ed, coming up in the second intermission, we'll have a musical feature that's guaranteed to get you into the Stanley Cup playoff mood. And then Jim and I will have highlights of this second period.
Good forechecking the last couple of moments by Craig Ramsey, Sean McKenna, and Gates Orlando. The Sabres trying to get that momentum back in their favor. You notice tonight, I think they're a lot stronger in around the opposing team's blue line and in around their blue line. They're clearing that puck out of their own end with authority, and when they have the chance in that Quebec zone, they're making sure that for the most part it goes in deep.
Well, the Nordiques have had a couple of power plays in this period, and as a result, they've had 9 shots on goal. Buffalo has had 5. Face-off in the Quebec zone of Perreault against Dale Hunter. On the draw, Sealing has control. Into the corner with it, stopping. Still with it. There's a high drive that goes wide and off the glass, and all the way back into Buffalo zone. Playfair has to go back after it, works it off the boards. Taken by Hunter. Hunter gets it in over the line. He is checked by Sealing. Hunter goes to the ice, and Sealing as well. Loose puck in behind the net. There's Couple with John Feld. Goulet trying to get away from Playfair. It comes in front, and it's recovered now by Sear. He comes up the ice. A 2-on-2 situation. Perreault trailing to the line. There's the shot that goes wide. Comes all the way back to the blue line. And Couple has it now with the pass for Maxwell at center to the Buffalo line against Schoenfeld. Cleared it in. Off a stick to the corner. Playfair going in there with Hunter. Comes back to the point. Fights for the long drive that goes wide. Peters Stastny on the far board. Here he is with a shot, but it's blocked by Schoenfeld. Hunter gets it back to Peters Stastny, and he lost it, and Sear comes up with it. Sear trying to flip it high into the air, and he does right to the Quebec penalty box.
And a good, strong play there by Sear, just moving that puck out. And Peters Stastny, boy, when he gets that puck in the corners around those face-off areas, he is so dangerous. He's such a fine offensive player and a great passer. And if you can get yourself into the open for him, boy, he can usually get that puck to you.
And it's 2:34 left to play here in the second period.
Ted, Anders Keller has scored for the Islanders against the Washington Caps, so the Islanders a 1-0 lead in the second period.
Face off in the Buffalo zone now with Peters Stastny against Brent Peterson. And Peterson wins the draw this time from Stastny. Housley feeds it to Peterson. Gives it to Craig Ramsey. Back to Peterson to the Quebec line. He's got McKenna left it for McKenna. Shoots it off the boards behind the net. There's Peterson now. Into the corner. Getting it back to Ramsey. Back in for Peterson. Tied up by Roseborn. Now McKenna moves in. Craig Ramsey gets it back to McKenna. Here's McKenna trying to work it in front to get the shot. From the point to height. The long screen drive. Deflected away to the corner, and Cote goes in after it. McKenna chasing him. Exactly 2 minutes to go here in this period. There's a drive there by Peterson that went off a leg. Now the loose puck. Recovered by the Nordiques. Frankie Sauvé starts the rush at center. Pass blocked by Ramsey. Gets it again. Tips it in front of that. And Barrasso has to glove it with Peters Stastny cruising and right in front of the Buffalo net. 1:44 now remaining here in the second period. Sabres continue to lead by a goal. Tom Barrasso has faced now a total of 18 shots.
The only goal of this period coming up the stick of Rick Sealing. And this is exactly the way we thought this second period would be played. Much tighter checking than that opening 20 minutes when we saw 6 goals. You see Quebec breaking out of their own zone. J.F. Sauvé's had a fine game tonight for Quebec. Buffalo with good coverage in front of that net as the Nordiques failed to get in front of Barrasso.
Ramsey feeds it to Foligno to the blue line. Now it's center. Tied up by Payma. It goes to the far side, and Andrechuk sends it off the boards into the Quebec zone, and Gillis ran into Andrechuk, and now it's cleared back into Buffalo territory. Barrasso comes way out with Ashton in deep, and he plays it behind the net. Now the Sabres try to clear it, but Price keeps it in.
And they get a whistle. You know, Ted, I haven't seen Lindy Ruff on the ice this period yet. I'm looking down at the bench. I don't see him. You would assume that perhaps he has suffered an injury. It's the only reason, obviously, that he wouldn't be there.
Well, perhaps he has re-injured the shoulder that he had operated on earlier this year. Face-off will be over the Buffalo blue line with 1:18 remaining here in the second period.
See Scotty again mixing his lines up. Boy, he's had players playing with everyone.
Now, Ramsey, there's a drive there by Goulet. The save for Rasso as Ramsey had trouble clearing it. Here comes Foligno. Sends away Andrechuk into the Quebec zone. Foligno races towards the net. Andrechuk is hit. Knocked into the boards heavily. Loose puck behind the net. With 1 minute to go. Andrechuk gets up into the corner. He's got Tucker in front. The pass blocked by Gosselin. Now Tucker is hauled down. And the Nordiques clear it, but just over the line. Mike Ramsey giving it to Andrechuk.
I was really surprised that Andrechuk just didn't fire that puck, Ted.
Now Andrechuk tied up by Goulet. Cleared off the boards by Fenfis. Here's Foligno. 39 seconds left in the period. Sends it in off the corner boards. Now the Nordiques come back over the blue line. The long pass tipped away by Hunter into the Buffalo zone. 30 seconds to go. Buffalo holding on to this 1-goal lead as the second period comes to an end with 22 seconds to go. Rochefort to the far side to Marois. Shooting it back in. Barrasso gloves that, leads it for Housley. 14 seconds to go. Housley getting it off the boards over the blue line. 10 seconds remaining. Rochefort and Buffalo will try to go into the third period with a 1-goal lead. Barrasso plays into the corner. 2 seconds. That's going to be it. The end of the second period. The Sabres will carry a 1-goal lead into the third period. Shots on goal after 2 periods for the Quebec Nordiques, 20, and for the Buffalo Sabres, 19. And so the score, after 2 periods of play, the Buffalo Sabres 4 and the Quebec Nordiques 3.
Gave the Islanders the 2-0 lead, and in Montreal, Boston and Montreal are scoreless. That's in the second period, rather after 2, and Peter Svoboda, that good young defenseman of the Canadiens, we understand, has broken a wrist. So should the Canadiens go on, that could be certainly a factor for them.
Chelios is out of the lineup, too, for the Montreal Canadiens. So suddenly they are running into injury problems.
And both teams are back on the ice here at the Coliseum in Quebec City as we await the start of the third period. With Buffalo leading by 1 goal. This is the first time, I believe, in the series, Jim, that the Sabres have had the lead going into the third.
Yeah, that's right, Jed. And I think from their standpoint now, the one thing you don't want to do is go into a defensive shell, try to lay back and protect that lead. You have to be cautious, but you can't be overly cautious, and you must be aggressive, but not overly aggressive, if that makes any sense. But basically what it means is just use your head out there, be thinking, and don't try to do anything fancy. Just get back to good basic hockey. And, of course, from the Nordiques standpoint, they know one thing, that they are an explosive team, and going into the third period trailing is not going to worry them too much.
Brian Lewis spent most of the second intermission in the first aid room being stitched up above the left eye.
Said they've given a couple assists now to that goal by Sealing. And Gilles Perreault got one of them and Ruff the other at 5:06 in the second period. So Perreault, that's 3 points for him tonight. And Ruff also having a good night, although we don't know still what his injury is. But Ruff has 3 assists and the goal.
No, Perreault made that play to Sealing inside that line, so he certainly deserved an assist.
And we are ready to begin the third period with Buffalo holding on to a 1-goal lead on the draw. It comes into the Quebec zone. Boulder up to the blue line, deflected high into the air. Now cleared into the Buffalo zone with Mike Ramsey going in deep. Goulet pushes into the boards. It's into the side of the Buffalo net, Sealing falling on it, and that'll force a face-off in the Buffalo zone. The Nordiques would love to tie this one up early in the third period and then settle down.
Boy, would they ever, just like Gilbert Perreault did for Buffalo the other night. He scored at the 37-second mark. Michel Bergeron. Talk about Harry Sinden being an intense coach. Well, Bergeron's right up there, too. He really gets into a game. That's great to watch. I love to watch that with the coaches.
On the draw in the Buffalo zone, here's Paybaugh with it, sending it into the corner. Now Mike Ramsey will go in after it. He tried to clear it, but Goulet comes up with it, the pass in front of Barrasso, knocked it away before Paybaugh could get it. Here comes Sealing. Back now with a pass to Craig Ramsey on the line, trying to break in and go to get the shot. He did! Fired it just wide of the far goal post. And Goulet right back to the Nordiques at center, carries it to the Buffalo line, giving it to Payma. There's the pass back to Goulet. Couldn't get the shot. Taken to the boards by Mike Ramsey. Loose puck at the side of the net. Comes back now to Mémoire. The shot deflected. Barrasso made the save on the deflection. Here comes Carroll. Right back to the Quebec line. Polino trailing. There's a backhand shot that goes wide. Waiting for it at the point is Height. He fires it back in behind the net. Roseport goes to the corner. Polino bumps into him. Ashton trying to clear it against Andrechuk. Now Polino tied up by Roseport. Andrechuk and Ashton. They still battle for it. Tucker comes in to take over. Now still with it. Tucker works it back. And here's Housley. Screen grab. He scores! Bill Housley drills it in from the right point. And the Sabres have taken a 5-3 lead.
Now credit John Tucker and Dave Andrechuk in the corner. And that may have been deflected in front of the net. We'll have to wait for the official time on that. But Housley just firing that puck towards the net, that's something that the Sabres did not do in the first two games. But Tucker and Andrechuk in the corner did not panic. Tucker took his time, drew a player to him, and then put it back to Housley to give him the time to fire that shot on goal.
And the Sabres have taken a 2-goal lead early here in the third period over the Nordiques in this Game 5 of the semifinals in the Adams Division. Polino sends it on into the Quebec zone. Gosselin leading it for Berwong. Up on that left side, here's Cote. Gets over the blue line, comes to center. Flipped it into the Buffalo zone. Playfair hustling after it to the corner boards. Behind the net, works it around the boards. Cut off by Payma. Payma in there against Gates Orlando, and Orlando brings it into his body with his right arm and forces a face-off in the Buffalo zone. As you look at that bandage over the left eye of referee Brian Lewis.
So Housley picks up his second of the playoffs from Tucker and Andrechuk at 1:27, and the Islanders still leading Washington 2-1. Bobby Carpenter scoring for the Caps. It's 2-1 in the third period.
Now, this is a time of a hockey game, too. Not that it's necessarily more important now than it was in the first or second periods, but to win the faceoffs on a consistent basis. And Perreault tonight has been winning a few against Stastny. He did not do that in the first two games.
And he wins it here again, leaving it for Mike Ramsey in behind the net. And there's a pass over the line, giving it to Craig Ramsey, tied up, but he knocks it ahead. It's tipped into the Quebec zone by Rick Sealing. Goulet goes in after it, working it up to Maxwell, watched by Ramsey, blocked. Now Maxwell has control in behind the net, watched by Perreault. The Nordiques in control with the pass to Price in the left wing. Gets to center, shoots it into the Buffalo zone, around the boards. Polino waiting, hit from behind by Stastny. Maxwell keeps it in, tipped away by Craig Ramsey. Ramsey having an excellent game tonight. Here comes Perreault in with Ramsey, winds up with the shot. Fire that one wide. Now, Benfis keeping it in. Here's Polino. Taken to the boards by Peter Stastny. Marianne Stastny is on for only his second shift tonight. And 3-4 of them go after it. Polino trying to hold it to the boards. Now comes to Maxwell. He works it up. Housley tried to keep it in, and Height chases it back into his own zone.
You mentioned Marianne Stastny, and I'm sure what Michel Bergeron is looking for now is goals, and simple as that. And Marianne Stastny is an offensive player.
Maxwell sends it to Roseport. Over the Quebec line to center. Clears it in. Barrasso blocks it. There goes Height in after it. He sends it behind the net. Waiting for it was Ashton. Has it, worked it back behind the net to Alain Lemieux. Dumps it right in front off the skate. Tipped away by Housley. Here's Lemieux. Back to the point to Roseport for shot. He tried to get to the loose puck and was unable to. Ashton keeping it in. Back into the corner. The Nordiques putting on the pressure deep in the Buffalo zone. Andrechuk waiting for the puck, but Ashton is there, and Andrechuk comes up with it. Has McKenna on his right. Here's the pass. Tipped away by Roseport. Racing after it. Andrechuk inside the line. Just gets it over the line, allowing McKenna to pick it up. Ahead to Gates Orlando. In over the Quebec line. Going to the corner. Buffalo making a player change, so he has no help with him. Lemieux. And Orlando has his helmet knocked off. Sear dumps it from Orlando. The shot! Had saved Gosselin. Now McKenna hit along the boards. Taken to the boards by Roseport. Orlando's there. Sear battling with Hunter. Sear comes up with it, the pass off the skate. Here's Schoenfeld working it in front of the pass over to McKenna. Backhand drive that goes wide. That's to the far board. Now skates up to the blue line. 5-3, Buffalo leading. Hunter knocks it into the corner boards. Here's Playfair getting it around the boards with Lemieux and Perreault. Perreault goes to the ice. The puck is underneath him. They whistle it down. 5-3, Buffalo leading. We'll return following this message.
Fine play by Tucker to control the puck, and Housley just fires it at the net through a maze of players to beat Gosselin.
Face off in the Buffalo zone. On the draw, it comes back to Boulder. Swings it over to Wesley. The drive, Barrasso, the save. That was a screen shot, and Barrasso picked it off, feeding into the corner. Now works it up over the blue line, back to center, and out of the Quebec blue line.
I think we're seeing too many shots from the point by Quebec, so from Buffalo's standpoint, they're going to have to make sure that their wingers are back there covering up on those players. They have fine shots from back there.
Mike Ramsey gets it off the boards, gives it to Craig Ramsey with Perreault on his far right. The pass goes right into the crowd beside the Quebec bench area. Gilbert Perreault with a pair of goals tonight. Rick Sealing, Housley, and Lindsey Ruff with the other ones, and Ruff did not return for the third period. We have no idea the extent of his injury.
That big goal he scored for Buffalo at the 37-second mark of the third period. The last game was his first goal in the playoffs since 1981. He is going into tonight anyways. 100 NHL Stanley Cup playoff points, 31 goals, 69 assists, and Ed 3 more tonight, I guess. A goal and a couple of assists.
Well, 2 goals and 1 assist.
2 goals and 1 assist.
Face off over the Quebec blue line. Perreault, Craig Ramsey, and McKenna now. Here's Marion Stastny sending it into the Buffalo zone. Fentis going back after it. He is watched in there by Marion Stastny. Lost it. Here's Ashton picking it up. Gets it back into the corner to Marion Stastny. The pass in front tipped away by Barrasso. And it's taken by Fentis, and he gets to the Buffalo blue line and flips it back to the Quebec line. Maxwell right back for the Nordiques. Price shoots it into the corner. In after it goes Price. 5-3. Buffalo leading. 14-40. Left to play here in the third period. Knocked down by Ramsey. Gets it over the blue line to Andrzejczyk. At center, he sidesteps one, then he falls down. It comes to the Quebec line. A loose puck sitting in there, Marion Stastny. Then he lost control, turns away from Andrzejczyk, gives it to Gillis, but he missed the pass. Housley moving in there with Ashton to the corner. They whistle it down, and we'll have a face-off. And with the score, Buffalo 5, Quebec 3 will return right after this. Look at the Quebec bench now as we have a face-off into the left of the Buffalo net. On the draw, it comes right back to Housley. And behind the net, watched by Frankie Sauvé. Clears it up on the left side. Craig Ramsey couldn't knock it down. And it's Merwan. Control deep in his own zone for the Nordiques. Slides it over to Roseport. Up ahead to Peter Stastny at center. They come into the Buffalo zone. Here's Frankie Sauvé getting it over now to Roseport. He stumbled, gets it now, and it's blocked by Craig Ramsey, and the puck comes back to center. Merwan. Out of Roseport. Dropped it back in to Merwan. Again to Roseport. The center, Housley went after him, missed him. Roseport carries it to the Buffalo line. It's an offside call.
Now Bob Hodges whistled down Michel Goulet, just a little bit over-anxious. Normand Rushford, I think he's one of the more underrated defensemen in the NHL, and you're going to see that Quebec defense now start to take chances as this clock starts to wind down. 13:48 remaining.
Roseport got the winning goal in Game 2 here at the Coliseum.
He has played a lot of hockey in this series, along with Merwa, who's out there now. And Pat Price stepping onto the ice. We talk about competitors. Pat Price has to go near the top of the list.
Face-off will be over the Buffalo blue line with the line of Gilbert Perreault, Craig Ramsey, and Rick Sealing. Now Stastny against Perreault. And Stastny wins the draw this time. Price has it at center. Sends it in off the boards, and Fentis will go back now for Craig Ramsey into the corner. Gets it back to Fentis. Works it up to Perreault, who deflects it on to center ice. Maxwell at his own blue line. The long pass there intended for Goulet. Missed it. Now Fenfis in to touch it. And Quebec has called for icing. The faceoff will go way back into the Quebec zone, exactly what the Sabres like.
You saw Dave Fenfis a couple of moments ago giving Quebec some of their own medicine with a good hard pass up the middle. And that's what you want. Perreault managed to get a stick on it and just deflected it back to center ice. But anytime you can move the puck out of your own end up the middle, that's what you want to do. Play those long passes. It's not always available to you, however. Fenfis really has come a long way this year for the Buffalo Sabres. Voted the unsung hero this year, and rightly so.
Five-3, Buffalo leading. 13:28 remaining in the third period. Here now, sealing into the corner with it. Mulder goes after him. Now Mulder pushing him away. Hunter sends it over to Rochefort. He starts back to the blue line. The pass now to Hunter. Firing it in off the corner boards. Barrasso leaving it for Playfair. Whips it around the boards. Mulder keeps it in. Lemieux the pass. And goes to Hunter. The drive. The save. It's Barrasso. Spectacular. Holds on and stops Dale Hunter. 5-3 Buffalo leading. Will return to the Coliseum in a moment. Off into the left of Tom Barrasso. Faced 24 shots, and he has made some startling saves here tonight.
He just absolutely robbed Hunter moments ago. First of all, in the first shot, and then just taking the puck right off his stick on the rebound.
Now Playfair at the side of the net. Tries to clear it. Schoenfeld goes in. He is checked. Now Tucker moves in as well. Four of them. It comes to Peter Stastny. Left it there for Marois. The drive. Barrasso the save. And it's cleared away by Tucker back into the Quebec zone. And Barrasso comes up with another big one.
Yeah, the Sabres are going to have to start tightening up in their own zone. They're simply giving the Nordiques too many good opportunities.
Marois with the long shot that goes wide off the glass. Cleared by Housley, but not out. Kept in with a long drive. Barrasso grabs that one. Another face-off in the Buffalo zone.
There's a play we talked about many times. Housley with that puck off the board. To get it out of your own zone, you really have to take a swing at it. Watch this stop after a good play by Peter Stastny. Now Marois has a fine shot. Barrasso, good stand-up goaltending to hold his ground. The Sabres able to clear that rebound out of there. You're going to watch that Hunter stop right here. Here's the first one. Now watch Barrasso just take the puck away from Hunter right here. Big long reach.
On the draw now, Fenfis clearing it off the boards, and it's right back to the Quebec blue line. Maxwell tries to step away. Sear chases it, comes up with it, works it through to the center ice area. Now Maxwell at center. Bumped by Perreault. Loose puck sitting there. Tipped away, up to the line, into the Quebec zone. Now Maxwell at his own line, up in the left wing to Alain Cote, to the Buffalo line, off an ankle. Recovered by Hunter. He tips it in. And it's an offside call at the Sabres blue line with exactly 12 minutes remaining on the clock here in the third period. And here in the third period, the Sabres have had 2 shots and the Nordiques have had 6.
Montreal and Boston Bruins still tied at 0-0. Scotty Bowman, man, this is a time when you really need that experience behind the bench. The Sabres certainly have that. Bowman with 5 Stanley Cups to his credit.
Face off over the Buffalo blue line. Stastny now will take the draw against Gates Orlando. Stastny wins it back to Plank, slaps it in off the glass into the Sabres zone. Now Payma along the boards with Schoenfeld. Sear is there. Along with Stastny comes back to Marois. The screen shot blocked by Sear, taken by Plank. Works it into the side of the net. Recovered by Playfair. Sends it around the glass. Back to the line for Marois, keeping it in. Now into the side is Playfair to the corner boards. Up off the boards, kept in again by Marois. Payma into the corner. Quebec putting on heavy pressure. There's a pass in front of it off the skate to the far corner boards. Price gets it off the glass. Sticks are getting high. Playfair on top of it. Goulet trying to dig it free, and it's whistled down.
And Peter Stastny was just wailing away at Gates Orlando in front of the net. I mean, he was really working him over. The Nordiques just storming the Buffalo zone. Again, you go back to that fact that the pointmen having way too much time back there, and the Sabre wingers are going to have to start keying on that area.
Well, Boston and Montreal still remain in a scoreless tie in that third period.
I would say that is a bit of a surprise. With the Bruins taking Montreal to 5 games.
A big blow to the Canadians, losing Peter Swoboda after Chelios was unable to play tonight as well because of an injury. Now Craig Ramsey blocked it at the line. Starts back to center, backhanding it into the Quebec zone. Buffalo makes a quick change as the Nordiques come back. Missing it was Ashton, cleared away by Housley, recovered by Tucker. Tucker, the pass to Andrechuk at the blue line, slaps it in high off the glass. There goes Foligno, moving in now against Rochefort. Now Frankie Sauvé gets it free, gives it to Ashton, and he backhands it down the ice into the Buffalo zone. Ice will go back after it quickly to touch. Oh, he missed it. He did not get to it. Now it's gloved. No icing. Now it's cleared up to the line to Foligno. He comes back with Housley at 2-on-1. A drop pass to Housley. Housley works it in off the corner boards. Here's Foligno into the corner. Tucker in to help against Price. The pass to Andrechuk, and he tipped it wide. Sauvé in the far boards, trying to get away, but Andrechuk is there to take over. He waits for Tucker to step onside. Has it now, moves into the corner. Andrechuk with that long reach, gives it to Tucker. He swings away from one, trying to get the shot. He's hooked and hauled down right in front. Here's Andrechuk with the shot. Kicked out by Foligno. Andrechuk backhands it high and wide. Now Schoenfeld chops it back in. Sauvé's there. Here's Schoenfeld trying to clear it into Andrechuk. It's recovered by Mulder. And it comes back to center. And Brian Lewis could have called a penalty there a moment ago in the Nordiques. Schoenfeld flips it back into the Quebec zone.
Well, just great pressure by the Buffalo Sabres. And Andrechuk, what a fine puck handler he is inside that zone, making all kinds of plays.
And with the score, 5-3. Buffalo leading 9:52 to go in the third period. We'll return after this message. 9 minutes, 52 seconds remaining in the third period. 5-3, Buffalo leading. Fifth and deciding game of the best-of-5 series. A winner will advance to the Adams Division final against either Montreal or Boston. Maxwell now for Rochefort at center into the Buffalo zone. He squeezes by McKenna, but Fenfus is there. Hayma bumps into Fenfus. Now the loose puck behind the net. Orlando going into the corner with Peter Stastny. Stastny sliding it back. Here is Fenfus. Now to Ramsey. He got it over the line. Race after the puck. It's picked up by McKenna. He's got Orlando with him. Back to Orlando. Trying to get the shot. There's a pass, but it's blocked nicely by Rochefort. And they go to the corner boards. McKenna's in there. And taken by Paymont. Starts again over the blue line. Comes to center. Right into the Buffalo zone. Takes the shot. Barrasso holds on to that. And now we've got Paymont and Mike Ramsey with their arms around each other.
Now, the one thing that Quebec Nordiques tried to do at the auditorium in Buffalo was to really throw Barrasso off his game by jabbing him, high-sticking him, trying to get him to upset himself and take his concentration away from the game. Now, earlier in the season, you could do that, but in the last part of the season, you cannot do that. Barrasso really being able to grab a hold of himself and do what he had to do. You see him just covering up on the puck now. You're going to see Paymont will just come in and take a whack at it right there.
But referee Brian Lewis had already blown his whistle. Barrasso now has faced a total of 27 shots. Gosselin at the other end, 22. Farrell moves in against Gillis. Gillis wins the draw back to the line to Marois. Steps away from one, gets it to the left point. Plays a screen shot to save the rebound. Barrasso covers up again with a scramble in front of the Buffalo net. And Tom Barrasso has been pouncing on these rebounds all night.
And the Sabres losing that face-off in their own zone, and Price just throws his puck at the net. You see it just go through a maze of players. The Sabres outnumbered. Billy Height surrounded by Nordique. But Big Barrasso just falling on that loose puck once again.
Now Perro again against Gillis with a face-off in the Buffalo zone. Here's a chance to tie the score! Go back in the game at 5-4 with 8:58 to go in the third period. Cote.
The Sabres losing the face-off right back to Cote, and before Barrasso can get set, he just fires it between the legs of the Buffalo goaltender. And Quebec has pulled to within 1 with 8:58 remaining. Hold on to your seats, everybody. And it was just a matter of time. Buffalo just laying back, and the Nordiques is continually storming that Buffalo end.
So the Nordiques with Alain Cote scoring here in the third period to make it 5-4. And the capacity crowd still feeling there's a lot of hope for the Nordiques here in the third period. 8:58 now remaining to play. And the tension begins to grow continually here. Here's Benfist now for Tucker up to the Quebec line, moving in with Craig Ramsey. Fires it in off the board. Ramsey in after the loose rolling puck at the side, and Marois picks it up. Now the Nordiques trying to come back on the attack. The pass to Price at center. That's gloved down by Mike Ramsey at his own blue line. He flips it now. Where it's gloved by Marois. Keeps it to Kavon. In over the Buffalo line. Blocked, and Barrasso gloves that and holds on. We'll return to the Coliseum in Quebec City in just a moment with the score. Buffalo 5, Quebec 4.
Perhaps he wasn't taking some of the faceoffs in that Buffalo zone.
Now it's 5-on-5 for the face-off of the Buffalo zone. Peter Stastny against Terrell. 8:26 left in the third period. 5-4, Buffalo leading. On the draw now. Stastny has it in front to Goulet. Stop! Tom Barrasso robs Goulet right in front of the goal crease.
Oh, some idiot just threw a beer bottle onto the ice. I don't believe it. Oh, darn near hit Gosselin down at the one end. What a stop by Barrasso, though, up at Goulet. And once again, Buffalo, if they're not going to start winning some faceoffs, they're going to end up losing this hockey game. You see Peter Stastny clearing it in front to Goulet, and that puck very nearly rolled up over top of Barrasso and into the net.
That beer bottle came all the way up from the high balcony at the end. Now the face-off again in Buffalo territory, with the Nordiques moving to within 1 goal of the Sabres. Peter Stastny. In on the face-off against Brent Peterson on the draw. There's the shot that goes wide, and it comes around to the right point, taken by Mulder. Sends it back in. Here's Goulet in front. Stastny had lost the stick. He was all alone in front of the net. Now back comes Peterson at center. Tipped it in out of the Quebec zone. Here's Ramsey putting it right in front, and Stastny turns it back up the ice now for the Nordiques. At the blue line, at center, right back into the Buffalo zone, puts on the burst of speed, knocks down, they try to clear the loose puck, they down the score! Goulet has tied it! And it's tied at 5-5.
We'll have to wait and see how this puck went into the net. You see it just rolling towards Barrasso. And that was Muller who took a poke at it. And it looked almost as if Buffalo put the puck into the net by themselves. You see Height just failing to reach it. And it goes off the left skate, I think, of Craig Ramsey. That's what it looked like from up here. We'll look at it again. Watch Craig Ramsey in front of the net right here. It hits his left skate and goes in behind Barrasso.
And the fans have thrown toe rubbers and shoes and you name it, programs onto the ice here following that tying goal by Mulder.
Both Craig Ramsey and Peterson were caught deep in the Quebec zone, and that enabled the Nordiques to break out 3-on-2. That was Muller very smartly jumping up ahead, going up with the forwards, and that's what the defense has to do when you're on a 4-on-4 situation. You look for those two forwards to get caught and then jump up front with them.
And we'll return to the Coliseum in Quebec City in a moment with 7:54 left in the third period. We are tied at 5-5. Randy Mulder tying it up for the Quebec Nordiques here in the third period with 7:54 to go. And the Nordiques Nordiques have outshot the Sabres 11-4 here in the third period.
Boy, it's so hard to turn that momentum back your way once you've lost it, and the Sabres really face an uphill battle from here on in.
And both teams still with 4 skaters now. It comes over to Mike Ramsey. Up now to... And reject the drive! And Gosselin lost it off the glove, but Marois picks it up. Goulet into the corner now. Watched by Foligno. Back into Marois. Here's Hunter with it for Quebec. Watched by Andrzejczyk. In behind the net. Up on the left side for Goulet. Tipped it on through the center ice area. Foligno goes back after it. Gives it to Mike Ramsey. It's a 5-5 tie. Foligno back to center with 58 seconds left in the penalties. Foligno gets it off and into the Quebec zone. He's hauled down. Marois lost his helmet on the play. Now Goulet gives it to Marois. The pass over the line. Picked off by Goulet. Here he comes into the Buffalo zone. He's taken into the play by Height. Mike Ramsey has it. Tips it around now for Andrzejczyk. 37 seconds left in the penalties to Paymont. Sealing Andrzejczyk to the Quebec line. Gets in over the line. Still with it now in the far board. Stopped there by Rochecourt. It comes over the line. Schoenfeld goes after it. Has it at center. Dropped it back now for Playfair. Playfair backhanding it to center ice. Rochecourt blocked it. Playfair again. Taken by Sear. Turns inside the line. Now gives it to Playfair. 6:40 remaining in the third period. Schoenfeld just over the line. Off the boards now to Sears. Slaps it on into the Quebec zone. Here's McKenna. The backhand shot goes wide. And Schoenfeld takes it at center ice. Works it back now to McKenna. Penalized players come onto the ice. Ashton drops it back in. He gives it to Moeller. The pass to Peter Stastny. Up on the right wing to Paymont with the long drive. Barrasso makes the save. The rebound to the corner board. Schoenfeld and Paymont bump in there. Here's Sealing coming up with it. Starts it back now for Buffalo over the blue line. Skates to center, down to the Quebec line, trying to get through. He is checked and knocked out of the Nordiques to Peter Stastny. Swings to center, the pass to Price. Left it there at the blue line. Tipped but not out, kept in. Still sitting there. Knocked over the line, recovered by Craig Ramsey. Up now to the Quebec line. Tips it through where Maxwell recovers it. He has trouble with it. There goes Perrault chasing Maxwell in behind the net. Now Craig Ramsey moves into the corner. Peter Stastny gets it off a teammate. Price is there. Works it around to the far side. Mike Ramsey gets it back into the corner. Perrault moving in there against Cote. Comes to the other corner. Here's Maxwell. Carrying it up to Kumpel. Kumpel sends it up to Peter Stastny. Against Fences. But Fences takes him out of the play. And Mike Ramsey works it to Craig Ramsey. And we've got Foligno on top of one of the Nordiques inside the Quebec blue line. No idea how that started, but...
I'm still not sure who that is. Have it break down below us. Michel Bergeron's team has battled back twice in this hockey game from 2-goal deficits, trailing 3-1 in the first period, and then 5-3 here in the third. Maxwell.
It was Maxwell underneath as he takes Foligno into the glass. And now let's go back to Buffalo for an NHL playoff update with Wes Goforth, brought to you by AWOL Chevrolet, the only Chevy dealer on Delaware Avenue.
In the Patrick division, the Islanders lead the Capitals 2-1 at the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. It was scoreless in the second period when Anders Collar stole the puck, beat Pat Riggin on the breakaway. And then after Brent Sutter gave the Islanders a 2-0 lead, 29 seconds left in the second period, Bobby Carpenter beats Pat Riggin 2-1. Islanders in the third. Montreal and Boston scoreless in the third. Back to Quebec in a minute.
Couple of more penalties. Foligno going for Buffalo. And Maxwell for the Nordiques. And again, they're playing with 4 skaters each, Jim.
That's right, and this is exactly what Quebec wants. And they capitalized on that on the last occasion. Moeller ending up getting credit for that goal, a scramble in front of Barrasso. Puck going in off the skate of Craig Ramsey. And what happens when you have that 4-on-4? Quebec just throws those fine offensive players out there. Goulet, Peter Stastny, along with Marois, and Pat Price is mostly a defensive defenseman. He's out there also.
Now Price has control back in behind his own net. 5:14 left in regulation. A 5-5 tie. Marois giving it to Peter Stastny. Lost it now to Andrichuk. He tries to get away. Height coming up on the play, knocks it into the Quebec zone. Peter Stastny now left it there. It's taken by Marois. Recircled. The Nordiques in possession with the pass. Up for Goulet. Stopped by Height. Knocked in by Andrichuk into the Quebec zone. He goes to the ice. Price has it. Now watched by Andrichuk. Gives it to Marois. Head to Stastny. Left it for Marois. The long pass. Broken up. Andrichuk goes after it, but it's sent back to the line. Marois with the pass off the boards into the Buffalo zone. Goulet took a whack at it, and it's called the offside, the Buffalo blue line. 4:32 now remaining here in the third period.
There's Michel Goulet. I'm sure he's logged around 40 minutes of ice time already this evening. You know, the thing that people forget about Goulet, too, Ted, is his size and his strength. He's over 6 feet tall, close to 200 pounds, and he is just an effortless skater up there. You suddenly realize that when he starts pulling away from other players.
The Nordiques have outshot the Sabres 32-23 overall. Coming back with 2 goals here in the third period, a tie at 5-5. Now Gillis against Sears. Back to the Quebec line. Boulder slides it into Rochefort, ahead to Gillis. It slides right into the Buffalo zone. There will be no icing. Barrasso leaving it now for Fenford. Around the boards. McKenna has it. Worked it ahead to a breaking Paul Sear at center. Winds up with the drive, and he knocked it off Mulder. Here's Rochefort into the corner. He turns with the long pass, deflected by Gillis. But Mike Ramsey will go back after it. 45 seconds left in the penalties to Maxwell and Foligno. And now we have less than 4 minutes remaining in regulation. Tucker at center to the Quebec line, tried to get through. Following up his Andrichuk. It's broken up. Price comes back. They're trying to get a 3-on-2. Here comes Ashton in over the line with Price. Gets it to Price. The pass to the far side, but Gillis a high pass. Couldn't get it. Now Gillis with it again. It's deflected. Here's Tucker with it. Working it to the line. He drops it back into Fenford. 3:35 left in regulation as Fenford shoots it into the Quebec zone. Buffalo makes another quick change. Coming onto the ice, Perro. Schoenfeld and Sealing. 9 seconds left in the penalties, and both teams will return to full strength. Hunter at center. Shoots it way up into the crowd, into the Buffalo zone with 2 seconds left in the penalties and 3 minutes and 21 seconds to go in regulation time.
And Wilfred Pavon, 2 goals in this series up to this point, no assists. He's a good, tough winger. Very, very strong in the corner. You put him with Hunter out there. Hunter plays at center ice with Pavon. You have 2 players who just love to go in there and bounce people around. There's our friend, the dancer.
Now Perro, Craig Ramsey, Housley, and Height. Perro against Hunter on this draw. And Hunter wins it, gets it back into Mulder. The penalized players step out of the ice. We are back at full strength. They shoot it in wide of the Buffalo net. Housley moves into the corner, and Quebec is called for icing.
And there you see what Hunter does best. Just pursuing, instead of letting Housley off the hook. He just runs into him, even though it is an icing call. Most players in the NHL would not take that man out of the play, but not Dale Hunter.
And it's amazing they still have not goals at all in Montreal. Boston and Montreal in the third period. Islanders lead the Capitals by 2-1 in the third at the Capitol Center in Landover.
Perro now between Craig Ramsey and Foligno, Billy Height and Housley. Since Quebec is tied, if they really settle down themselves, I thought maybe they'd keep coming at Buffalo, but they have not done that.
Now Peter Stastny wins the draw, gives it to Mulder. Working it on the boards now. They try to clear it, but Housley keeping it in. Here's Foligno. He's got Perro in front, and the pass went off Rochefort's leg in front of the Quebec net. Height back at center. Working it to the far side. Perro missed it. Taken by Rochefort. Now gives it to Mulder. Ahead to Pavon at center. Shooting it in. It's gloved by Barrasso. He plays it into the corner, but Cote is there to block it. Loose puck behind the net. Peter Stastny. Stopped by Housley. Here's Perro. Coming up with it and holds on to it at the boards with 2:37 remaining in regulation time.
You know, Gilbert Perro not taking any chances in behind the net. particularly when Peter Stastny is in the area. Talked about Goulet playing 35 to 40 minutes for Peter Stastny. Logs about the same amount of ice time for the Nordiques.
Nordiques have had 13 shots here in this third period. The Sabres have managed just 4 on Mario Gosselin. And the Nordiques with 2 goals to tie it up. Now Tucker trying to get the draw from Hunter. Here's Benfus. He goes to the ice. Kumpel's there. It pops free, but they had whistled the play down. Now Price and Sealing are having a few words.
John Tucker will do it again against Hunter.
Price with a drive block. Taken now by Mike Ramsey. He sends away Andrichuk. The quick pass over to Sealing. Breaking in. Lost control of it in the backhand. And Marois takes Sealing into the boards. Around to the far side. Goulet, Mike Ramsey in deep to try to keep it in. It's taken now by Price. Gives it to Marois. He tipped it up on the right side to Kumpel. Over the line. Andrichuk has it. Lost it to Kumpel. Now to the line. Fires it back into the Buffalo zone. Barrasso blocks it behind the net. He plays it around the glass. It comes off the corner glass. Right to up the back. It's just wide of the net. Into the corner. Kumpel and Benfus. 1:55 left to play in regulation. As Mike Ramsey deflected off an Nordique stick and all the way back into the Quebec zone. 1:47 remaining in regulation. Up to the blue line. It's tipped ahead. Taken by Kumpel to the Buffalo line with Cote trying to work in. Had it knocked off the stick. Recovered by Housley. Off the boards. Gives it to McKenna. There's the pass to Perro. To the line. He shoots, but it's blocked. Went off Mulder. Now Perro in after it. Here's McKenna tipping it to the goal. Please thrown by Gosselin. 1:27 remaining.
It looked like Gosselin was really not ready for that little swing around pass by Sean McKenna in front, but he still managed to deflect that puck up in the air and then just hold on for the faceoff.
There's the time remaining in regulation.
These coaches with the age of about 10 years. That is one tough job.
Now Perro again against Peter Stastny with the face-off in the Quebec zone. 5-5 tie on the draw. Price behind the net. Trying to step away from Perro. The pass deflected by Peter Stastny into the Buffalo zone. Housley will go in after it with 1:15 left to play. And it's off Sear. It's kept in by the Nordiques. Ashton with the drive. With 1 minute and 9 seconds to go, the Nordiques have taken a 6-5 lead.
Perfect shot by Brent Ashton after that puck was cleared around the board. Sear tried to play it with his skates, and it deflected right out into the middle of the ice, and Ashton just wheels it by Barrasso in off the goalpost, and Quebec takes the lead with 1 minute 9 seconds remaining.
And again, the fans here at the Coliseum litter the ice with Grey Blue.
Talk about trades being made in the National Hockey League. What an acquisition Brent Ashton has been for the Quebec Nordiques. Goes along, let's not forget about Maxwell either, but Maxwell really was the main man in that deal. They did not expect Ashton to score the number of goals that he did score this year for the Quebec Nordiques.
And with 1 minute, 9 seconds remaining in regulation, the Nordiques have struck for 3 unanswered goals here in the third period to take a 6-5 lead. Tom Barrasso has gone to the Buffalo bench to talk to Scotty Bowman and deciding on, of course, whether or not he's when he's going to leave the goal crease. And the 15,000 plus fans having a giant party here with 1 minute and 9 seconds to go.
What Buffalo needs to do now, Tucker, to win that faceoff back to one of his defensemen, and the Sabres will try to gain that center line and then fire it in and try to hold it for a faceoff in that Quebec zone.
Here we go with the final 1 minute and 9 seconds of regulation time. On the draw, it comes back, Housley, Barrasos out of the net. He goes to the bench in favor of the extra Tucker. And they get a whistle called icing against Buffalo.
You have to gain the red line before you fire it in. That's exactly what Buffalo wanted to do, but Housley simply didn't make sure that he knew where he was on that ice. And now the Sabres have roughly 200 feet to go.
And 1 minute and 2 seconds away from elimination for the second season in a row against the Nordiques. Here's Price keeping it in. 58 seconds to go. Housley working it off the boards. It's kept in by Ashton. Gloved down by Housley. Gives it to Foligno. He lost it. 49 seconds. Tucker back. Gives it now to Housley. Up on the left side. Missed by Foligno. It'll go wide. And Buffalo could be called for icing with 41 seconds now remaining in the third period.
The Nordiques with an interesting lineup out there. Peter Stastny, Ashton, and Paymont. Peter Stastny because he's very good on faceoffs. Ashton because of his great speed, and Paymont because he's very good along the boards on his own end.
14 shots for the Nordiques here in the third period. 4 for the Buffalo Sabres. They have not been able to get a shot on Gosselin in quite a few minutes. On the draw now, taken by Housley, 39 seconds to go. The pass comes over the line, taken by Andrew. Chuck Barrasso goes to the... Here's Foligno, and it's goal! He scores! No!
Now that's being called on the offside.
Called on the offside, no goal.
Oh, boy. That was close. Foligno with a full head of steam breaking through to the middle of that Quebec defense.
Montreal has taken a 1-0 lead over the Boston Bruins in that game of the Forum in Montreal. You'll hear probably the boos from the crowd when it comes up.
You can see this again. Andrechuk hitting Foligno. You can see just barely offside. Boy, that was close.
Now 31 seconds left on the clock. And a timeout has been called. As I mentioned, Montreal leading Boston 1-0. And that could be late in the third period of that game at the Forum of Montreal. The Islanders continue to hold on to a 2-1 lead over the Washington Capitals, and that's in the third period at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Michel Bergeron with strict instructions to his team.
Well, that faceoff outside. Well, they almost actually at center ice from where Andrechuk made that play to Foligno.
There's Tom Barrasso, who's played just an outstanding game here tonight in behind the Buffalo bench. 31 seconds to go. And a win for the Nordiques, and they'll go into the Adams Division Final against either Boston or Montreal. On the draw, taken by Marois, tipping it back into the Buffalo zone. 26 seconds to go. Up it comes to Perro. 6 skaters. A pass to Tucker. He dumps it in with 20 seconds left. There goes Tucker in after it. They try to center it. It's taken by Stastny. He cleared it, but Perro keeps it in. There's a pass in front. There's Polino. The drive. And Goslin made the save with 10 seconds to go. Back into the corner. Here now. Behind the net. They jump it out in front. Back into the corner. 4 seconds. That's it. The game's over. The series is over. The long shot and that goal did not count. But the Quebec Nordiques have defeated the Buffalo Sabres 6-5. They have won the best-of-5 series, 3 games to 2, and they will advance to the Adams Division Finals against either Montreal or Boston. A very happy Michel Bergeron.
Now, you could not ask for anything more on a deciding game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. What a hockey game.
And now the two teams lining up at center ice. Ashton, the big hero of this game, with the deciding goal. So the Quebec Nordiques defeating the Buffalo Sabres and winning the best-of-5 series 3 games to 2. And the final score, the Quebec Nordiques 6 and the Buffalo Sabres 5.
Now, Carling O'Keefe Sports presents our 3 Game Stars. Tonight's third Carling O'Keefe Game Star is